Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial. In today's tutorial we are doing this fringe skirt which I'm so in love with. I use this mercerized yarn which is silky and I love the way it feels. I love how neat it is. I use the small hook, so all the stitches are neat and all, and I'm really in love with it. So I'll be showing you how I made it and how you can make it in your size. So all you need is your tape measure. This is what will be the most important thing, tape measure, because we are going to be taking our measurements as we go on. So get your tape measure and you will be able to make this skirt in any size of your choice. You can make it longer, you can make it shorter. Yeah, so let's get started. So you are going to need these materials, a scissor, of course, a sharp one, tape measure, very important, a hook. I will be using a 2.0 millimeter hook because my yarn is small, but you can use any other size that is recommended for your yarn. And this yarn I'm using is mercerized yarn. I bought it from Z-Man. It's 100 grams. 250 meters. I used 3 balls of this, about 2.5 balls, and it recommends a 2.2 to 2.5 millimeter hook, but yeah, I will use a 2.0 millimeter hook. So yeah, let's get started. All right, so how we're going to work this skirt is we'll start with the waistband. Yeah, and it has this drawstring that is really not so necessary, but I love to have it there. And then we'll work the body going downwards, and once we are done, then we will come and put the fringe. Okay, so our waistband, this is how we are going to work it. So you are going to make a foundation chain, and you are going to chain as many chains as you want. And for me, I'll chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so I'll chain 14 of these, and this is about 2.5 inches. So this is going to be the width. Is it the width or the length of my waistband? Yeah, so we're going to use half double crochets here. So I'm going to chain 2 more chains, right? Then skip that 2 chains, and into the 3rd chain, skip 2, into the 3rd chain, I'll go ahead and make a half double crochet. So I have 3 loops, and then I'll pull through all. So that's a half double crochet, yarn over, and then make your 2nd half double crochet, go into your next chain, make your 3rd half double crochet. And basically for this row we are going to work half double crochets all through. So at the end of it all, I will have a total number of 14 half double crochets. Okay, I'll see you at the end of the row. So I have my 14 half double crochets, and now we're going to row 2. So I'm going to chain 1 and then 2, make 2 chains, turn your work, and we're going to be working only in the back loops. Okay, so go into the back loop of that very first half double crochet and make your half double crochet only in the back loop. So yarn over, go into the 2nd back loop and make your 2nd half double crochet and your 3rd half double crochet. We are working only in the back loop. Okay, so work half double crochets in each stitch only in the back loop until you get to the end, and I will meet you once you're at the end. I will have a total number of 14 half double crochets. So make sure you're always having the same number of half double crochets on every row. See you at the end. All right, so this is what I have, and for our 3rd row we are going to chain 2, turn our work, and do basically the same thing. Go into the back loop of that very first stitch and make a half double crochet. Then go into the 2nd stitch, make a half double crochet, 3rd stitch, make a half double crochet, and we are going to do this all the way to the end. So what I didn't tell you, you should have taken your waist measurement. So our waistband is going to be based on our waist measurements. And what we'll do for this waistband is we are going to stretch it as we go. So my waist measurements is 26. I've added weight and now I'm at 26 from 25. So I'm going to repeat this pattern until I have 26. So these are my rows. Okay, so what I was doing is just folding it into two like this, and then I would stretch it and measure it and see whether I'm at 26 yet. And if I find I'm not at 26, add more rows like that. So you see, when I stretch it now, this is about, when I stretch it, it stretches to 26, 13 and a half, which is about 27 inches. So that is okay because I'll put a drawstring. So I have my waist measurement. So when it is not stretched is 10. When it is stretched is about 13.5. Okay, so times 2, of course, because it's folded, then that makes it 26, 27. So that is okay. All right, so once you have your waist measurements, make sure it is stretched. Otherwise, your skirt will be too big. Okay, yeah. So once you have your waist measurements, we're going to join this together. And I'll just put in my hook on this other row like this, and on the other side, and then pull my yarn through to join like this. So we are going to join this by inserting our hook in every stitch, that is at the front and at the back. Okay, how do I do this? Yeah, my yarn should be like this. Makes more sense. All right, so now let's join. So I'm going to go into this first loop here and into the next stitch at the back, and just yarn over and then pull through with a slip stitch. Okay, so go into the next stitches, both front and the back, and make a slip stitch. So we are joining using a slip stitch, and into the next a slip stitch, and so on and so on. So you're going to go until the end, and then I'll come and show you what we do next. Okay, so once you have the two joined, this is how it should look like. Yeah, so now you're going to turn the right side out. So we're working on the right side where you joined, that is inside, now it's out. So chain 1, and for this row we are going to use single crochets. So this is my first single crochet. So basically I'm putting 2 single crochets in every row or every stitch. So if I had maybe 20 rows, I didn't count my rows, I don't know how many I have. So if I had like 20 rows, so my stitches will be 40. Okay, so if you had like 25, your stitches will be 50. So it's 2 single crochets in every row or every stitch. So how I'm doing it, you see I put 1 in the ridge and 1 in the stitch itself. So this is in the double crochet, in the half double crochet here, and my next one will be at the top of that double crochet, which is this ridge. I'll just call it a ridge. Okay, so that's 2. So into my next row, that is 1 in the half double crochet, and my next one is in the ridge below there. So that's 2. So my next one will be in the half double crochet, and then on the top of that ridge, then in the half double crochet, then in the ridge at the bottom, like that. So it's 2 single crochets in every row. At the bottom of the ridge. So in the half double crochet, at the top of the ridge, in the half double crochet, then in the bottom of the ridge, in the half double crochet at the top of the ridge, like that. So you're going to repeat that. If you it should be, by the end of it, should have a double of your rows. Okay, all right, so I'm coming to the end of the row, and I will just put my last one here. And then we're going to close this off with a slip stitch. So on top of the first double crochet you had, single crochet you had, make a slip stitch. So this is how it looks. It's neat. So now for row 2, we are going to use half double crochets. So you're going to chain 2 into that very first stitch there. You are going to make a half double crochet. I could have used a 2.5 millimeter hook, but I wanted my stitches to be small and neat. Okay, needs patience. So work half double crochets in every stitch, half double crochet in every stitch, half double crochet in every stitch. And for this row, so I'll meet you at the end of the row to show you how we finish it off, because I want to keep our back line straight and I need to show you that. All right, so I'm at the end, almost at the end, and this is my last stitch, right? This should be my last stitch, so I'm going to insert a stitch here. But for us to keep our back line straight and neat, we are going to work in this stitch that is below the chain 2. You see, this is my chain 2, but below there, that's where we work my last stitch. So it's more of an increase. It is an increase because we are putting a stitch in where we already have a stitch. So you're going to insert a half double crochet there. So this will keep our back straight and neat. And then now on top of that chain 2, you are going to slip stitch to close the row off. And we'll be working in one direction. So, oopsie. Yeah, slip stitch. Come on. Yep. So now for row 2, we will do the same thing. So we are going to chain 2. And into that very first stitch right here, make a half double crochet. Go into your next stitch, make a half double crochet, and into the next stitch, make a half double crochet. And you are going to do that until the end. And once you come back towards the end of this row, I'll come show you one more time how we close this row off with that tiny increase that makes a lot of a difference, how our back of the skirt looks like. Okay, see you right here. All right, so I'm coming to the end. I have my what should be my last stitch here, but yeah, we were working under this. This is what should have been my last stitch, but now I'm going to make my last stitch right under this chain 2. Okay, where I had my chain 2, there's a hole there. That's why you make your last stitch and then complete with a slip stitch on top of the chain 2. So this is how it looks, and your line will keep straight till you get down if you keep putting a stitch in there, but don't make sure you're not putting excess stitches. So you're going to now go to row 3. It's a repeat of row 2. Okay, so it's half double crochets in every stitch, half double crochet in every stitch until you get to the end. Once you're at the end, make an increase, that is put a stitch in that tiny stitch that is under the chain 2. And I'm going to do this until I have 5 rows, and I'll come tell you my measurements as well. Don't forget that stitch, okay? See you in a few. So I have my 5 rows, and this is how it looks like. Okay, so this is how many inches from the top to bottom. About 3 inches, right? So you should be having about 3 inches right now. All right, so yeah, five rows. So now we are going to start increasing, because to cater for our hips, right? So this is the back where my hook is, that's the back, but this on the sides is the hip sides, right? We have our hip sides there. So we'll be increasing at the hip sides, both sides. So So far I have about, you know, 12 inches, but when I stretch it's about 13.5. So about 14 times 2, that is 28, but I want my hip size to be 33 because my hips are 33 inches. Okay, so I'll keep increasing until when I stretch my work it gets to 33 inches. Okay, so this is how we'll be increasing. You'll start your row as usual, so you'll chain a 2 and insert a half double crochet in that very first stitch, and a half double crochet in your next stitch and next stitch. So you're going to work half double crochets until you get to the side of your hip. So if you have a stitch marker, please mark the side of your hip so that you don't forget to make an increase. So I'll meet you when I'm here at the side to show you how we do the increase. Okay, all right, so I came from back here up to the side. I need to make my first increase. So basically, how do we increase? You should know that. Put 2 half double crochets in one stitch. So that is my first one, and then that very same stitch I will insert my second half double crochet. 2 half double crochets in one stitch, and that is our increase. So now next stitch is just 1 half double crochet, and the next is just 1 half double crochet, and you're going to continue inserting 1 half double crochet in every stitch until you get to the other hip side. So when you get to the other hip side, then you'll insert 2 half double crochets on that hip side in one stitch. Okay, so once you come to this side, in one stitch insert 2 half double crochets, and then just continue with half double crochets in every stitch until you get to where we started, and I'll meet you. Okay, all right, so I'm done with my 6th row. So I inserted 2 single crochets here, 2 half double crochets, and also on this side. So we made our 2 increases on each hip side. Okay, so for the next row it's still going to be the same. Okay, so I'm going to work a half double crochet in this very first stitch, and then a half double crochet in that next stitch, and I'm going to do that basically until I get to the hip side, and I will show you one more time how to make that increase. Okay, so I'll meet you on my hip side. All right, so I'm here at my hip side, and I had made an increase in the previous row here, but it doesn't mean that you need to go in the same stitch, right? You can go in a different stitch. So I'll just go ahead of this stitch like that, and then that's where I'll make my increase. Okay, so it's not basically in the same stitch, so I make my increase there and then continue with my half double crochets, half double crochet in each stitch until you get to the other side. So don't forget to make the increases. So I'll get to the other side, make my increase again, and finish off the row. Okay, on this side also I'll make an increase, and I'll keep repeating this until each time I stretch my skirt until I get to my hips measurement. So you should do the same too. Keep stretching your skirt, and once you get to your hips measurements, good, and then we come back and I show you what to do next. So keep stretching. You need your measurements, you need your tape measure for this skirt. Okay, you have to measure all the way. All right, so this is what I have now. I'm not sure how many rows. I think I made 7 rows of increase maybe, but it doesn't matter the rows. What matters is your tape measure and your measurement. So when I stretch this, you see it gets to 16.5 times 2, because you know it's all round. that is 33. So that is my hips measurements, you see, 33 inches. So I know my skirt will be able to fit my hips, right? So now we stop increasing, okay? So we will stop increasing on the side. So each time I did, yeah, I think 7. Yeah, 7 rows. So yours could be different. If you have bigger hips, of course, it's going to take you longer to get to your hips measurements, right? So keep increasing until you get to your hips measurements, and once you are there, then we will do rows of no increase. Okay, so now we just go down with rows of no increase until let me see, so this is 5, and yeah, now I have 5 inches, right? So I'm going to do rows of no increase from here on. I have 2.5 inches. So for extra small and small, do 2.5 inches of no increase. If you're medium and large, do 3.5 inches of no increase. And if you're extra large, then do and XXL, then do 4.5. Okay, so just go ahead with one single crochet, I mean 1 half double crochet in every stitch, right? And once you get to this part, don't make an increase, just insert one half double crochet in every stitch until you get to the end. And I will meet you once I have 7.5 inches, because I already had 5 inches. If I add 2, that's 7.5. All right, so I'm done with my rows of no increase. As you can see, I have 7.5 inches. So if you're an extra small and a small, then you should have 7.5 or more, depending on your hip size, you know. Yeah, but for non-decreasing rows should be 2.5 for the extra small, and add an inch to the rest of the sizes like I mentioned before. Okay, so extra small and small 2.5, medium and large 3.5, and so on. Yeah, 2.5, that's what I added. All right, so now we're going to start decreasing, because you know we want our skirt to be fitting too, because as we go down we get smaller. So that's what we are going to do with this skirt too. We will decrease, and we will be decreasing on every hip side, 1 decrease on each hip side. So you are going to make your half double crochets as usual in every stitch, and once you get to your hip side, then I'll come show you how to make an invisible decrease. Okay, so let's get to the hip side and I'll meet you right there. All right, so I've done all these half double crochets, and now I'm at my hip side, so I need to make a decrease. So what do you do to make an invisible decrease? You're going to yarn over, and you see this next stitch, we are going to work only in the front loop. Okay, in the front loop in the next 2 stitches. So I insert my hook in the front loop like that, and then go ahead into the second stitch front loop like that, insert. Yeah, so we want to combine them. Now you have 4 loops on the hook, so you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, and then you have 3, and then pull through all the 3. Okay, so now you're going to go leave alone the 2 you've decreased. So now after the 2 stitches, you'll go on and make your half double crochet like usual. Okay, so make your half double crochet. You see, you don't even notice where you made your decrease, because it's invisible. So just go on with your half double crochets. You see, so we did the decrease around here. I can't even tell, but yeah. So now we are going to crochet 1 half double crochet in each row, and I'll meet you on the other side to do the second decrease. Okay, so go all around. Once you're here, I put a stitch marker for me. I don't want to forget, then I'll come and show you. So I'm on the other hip side. I came all the way and I'm here where my stitch marker is, so I'll take it out and we are going to make our second decrease on our second hip. So yarn over. In the first stitch, front loop, insert your hook, go into the second stitch, front loop, and insert your the hook, and then yarn over. You have, you have 4 loops, so yarn over, pull through the first 2, you have 3 loops, pull through all of them. So make sure you don't work where you already made the decrease. So identify your next stitch and make a half double crochet, and then you'll continue to make half double crochets in every stitch. This is how it looks. Okay, so that's how you make an invisible decrease. So continue to finish your row, and basically I think I don't need to repeat this. It's easy to understand. Every hip side, every row, make a decrease. Every time you come to your hip side, make a decrease. Every time you come to another hip side, make a decrease, and you're going to keep decreasing. As for me, until you have where you want your fringe to start. I want mine to start right below my bum bum. So yeah, I will make until there. So this is what I have so far. So when I measure, that is about 9.2 inches. So now I want my fringe to start here. So it depends. If you want your skirt a bit longer, then you can continue to decrease until where you want it, but I want mine to be short because I think it looks better like that. So 9.2 inches, and then I'm ready to put my fringe, but we won't put the fringe now. So we are going to work on the rows that will allow us to be able to put a fringe. So this is going to be different. Okay, all right, so for this we are going to use double crochets. So you're going to chain 2, and we'll be working only in the back loop, So insert your hook in that very first back loop and make a double crochet. So we are switching from half double crochets to double crochets, so only in the back loop. So going to the second back loop and make a double crochet. Third loop, make a double crochet only in the back loop. We are working only in the back loop. Okay, so you are going to make double crochets in every back loop until you get to the end of the row. So why I switched to double crochets is because this is going to be a fringe, covered with a fringe, so it doesn't have to be that neat. So it's better we even work faster. But then we're working in the back loop because we need this where to attach the fringe. Okay, so I'll meet you at the end. So I'm at the end of the row, and we don't need to make that increase. So the increase we're making under the chain 2, don't make it. So just go on top of the chain 2 and close it up with a slip stitch. Okay, so this is how it looks. So we'll be able to attach our fringe in the loops that we were leaving behind. So you're going to chain 2, working in the same direction, and you are going to work double crochets in the back. So in that very first stitch, make a double crochet in the back loop. Go into your next stitch, make a double crochet in the back loop, and into the next stitch in the back loop, make a double crochet, and you're going to work double crochets in each back loop until you get to the end of the row. And yeah, you'll continue doing this until you have your desired length. And yeah, I'll come show you what to do next. Okay, I'll tell you how many inches I've made for mine. So I made 6 rows, and this is how it looks. I think this actually looks pretty. You would go on, if you had gone on decreasing on both ends, I would actually make like a pencil skirt or something, but yeah, my plan is to make a fringe, so we'll make a fringe. So this is about 12, I think 12 inches long. Okay, that's how long my skirt is, about 12 inches long, but our fringe is about 3.5 inches long. So yeah, that will add at the bottom of my skirt, so it looks a bit longer. But yeah, so I went ahead and did my fringe, but I'm going to show you exactly how I made this. Okay, so don't worry, I put on every row, but depends on your thickness of your yarn. I'll show you how I did this on this part. Okay, so these are what I have remaining for here, but this is what I made it, how I made it. So I used this box for this, my son's iPad mini. So you can get any, any object that can do this. So just wrap around like this as many times, because you don't want to be cutting just a few, but this is just an example. And then I take it off, and I'll show you the measurement. So this is about 7, but I want to cut it both ways, and when we are putting it on the skirt, we fold it into 2, so that's why it's about 3.5 when it is folded. So I'll cut one end and the other end. So yeah, this is my size, so it's 7, but when I fold it on the skirt, then because we're folding it into 2, then it's about 3.5. Okay, so this is how I am attaching them. All right, so I'm just picking 2 strands, and we are going to start 2 strands, then fold it in half, kind of, and we'll start with the bottom. So the bottom, I'm skipping 1 stitch between, since I already have that, then skip 1, and in the next stitch both loops. Okay, at the bottom it's both loops. Put my hook like that, pick my yarn with my hook, pull it through the loops like this, and then yarn it over, and then pull through this loop like that, and then tighten it like that. Okay, then pick my 2, fold in half, skip 1 stitch to the next stitch, 2 loops, pull my yarn through, and then pull it through the loop, and then tighten. So basically that is what I'm doing. So that's how the bottom is looking like. I'm skipping a stitch in between. Yeah, as easy as that. So my yarn is very thin, so I'm going to work this on every row, but it could be like your yarn is a thicker yarn and you don't want it to get so huge, so you could skip a row. So what I advise is, instead of, I'm going to put on this second row, but I would advise you to skip 1 row, put on the next, skip 1 row, put on the next, and when you find it is still lacking, then you can come and fill in these other rows. If your yarn is, not like mine, because mine is thin. Okay, so I'll just put on every row. On these rows, I'm skipping 1 stitch in between, but you could try out skipping 1 row and see how it works. You can always come back and fill in, the other rows. All right, so this is my second row. Still the same thing, and yeah, I'm skipping 1 stitch in between. So I'm going to do that for every row down here, apart from the top row. There. But for my top row, it's going to be different because I want it neat. You see how neat looks up there? So I'm going to be putting in every stitch. So I'm not skipping any stitch. So I just go in here, pull through my yarn, and then pull through the loop and tighten. Okay. Then go onto the next stitch and do the same. Do exactly the same, no skipping on the top row. So I just pull through like this. Yeah, so this is it. You can play around with it with the fringe. You can make them shorter if you want. I wonder how they look when they're short. I think they will also look pretty. Instead of 3.5, maybe you could make 2 inches, you know. And yeah, just play around with it. And yeah, come show me your outcome. So I'll continue to do this and I'll come show you what our next step is here. Right? Yeah, this is how it looks like. Okay, so do your rows and I will see you once you are done so that we can put in the drawstring. All right, people, so this is how it is when it's done. I really am in love with this skirt. I think it looks so neat, so good, because of the type of yarn I used maybe, or but the hook also. Even when I'm using the non-mercerized yarn, I use a smaller hook, it's always looking pretty. So now we are going to make a drawstring. I did my waist size plus a few inches. So it's just chain, make a long chain that goes around your waist and leave excess to tie. All right, so I put it through my needle and I like to tie this inside so that it's invisible. So I'll just do it from the side, from the inside. So like this. And I like it to go over the bottom ridges and not the top ones so that it is not seen. So my needle goes under the top ridges, you know, so that it is not passing on top of the ridges, so it's visible. So by doing this, it just makes it invisible. It's not easy to see. So do that, and I'm doing this at the top of the rows, you know, up there, not in the middle, otherwise it will look weird. So at the top of the rows, that's where I put my drawstring. So just continue doing this, what I'm doing, in and out, in and out, in and out, in, out, avoiding the top ridges. Okay, just do that and go around and we'll meet you once you are done here. Okay, so I'm back and this is so far how it looks. So you can always pull to clinch in your, you know, your waist and all that stuff. If you lose weight, then you can still be able to wear your skirt, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, just tie it, and it's always tied in the inside so that it's invisible. And yeah, I'll just cut off this excess yarn. And we've got ourselves a fringe skirt. Ooh, I really like it. I hope you do too. I don't know, but yeah, I hope you like it. This is how it looks. Oh, this is looking okay. Weird up here, so I take this out first. Yeah, so this is how it looks, guys, and I hope your outcome is quite similar to mine, and I hope you love it. So yeah, so if you do, give this video a thumbs up. We are almost at 90 subscribers. Let's make it to 100,000. So thank you so much for your support. Share the video with your groups. And yeah, this is the back. Really, it looks good. Maybe I'm psyching myself, I don't know, but I hope you like it. So this is how it looks on me. I really like it. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next tutorial. I hope it is soon. I wanted to make a matching top. I hope I do that, you know, like a wrap top. I hope I do that. See you in my next video. Bye guys.